Gibson to be Barbados' next Chief Justice. The Ministry of Health moves on delinquent landowners. And in sports, one of the big names is out of the 100 meters at the World Championships.
With the compliments of Globe Finance, those are the headlines of tonight's edition of the Evening News. Next on CBC.
Credible, balanced, committed. This is the CBC Evening News.
Hello, good evening. I'm Lisa Broom. This is the CBC Evening News. It's official. Barbadian legal scholar Marston Gibson will be this island's next Chief Justice. The 57-year-old will take the oath of office at Government House next Thursday, September 1st. Mr. Gibson's appointment was made by the Governor-General on the recommendation of the Prime Minister after consultation with the Leader of the Opposition. A court attorney judicial referee in the Supreme Court of the State of New York until recently, Gibson brings a background of over 25 years of teaching and practicing law, mainly in the U.S., to his new job. The Chief Justice designate received his primary education at St. Matthias School, his secondary education at the then Boys Foundation School and Harrison College. He later pursued legal studies at the Cave Hill campus of the University of the West Indies, the Hugh Wooding Law School in Trinidad and Tobago, and Oxford University in England. He's also a Rhodes Scholar. Mr. Gibson is a former lecturer at the UE Cave Hill and St. Augustine campuses. Government is tonight serving notice that it will sell the properties of landowners to recover the costs for clearing vacant and unkempt lots. Health Minister Donville Innes says it's a critical issue as government continues efforts to prevent a dengue outbreak and curb incidents of leptospirosis.
Under the law, the Ministry of Health can clear lots and bill the owners after exhausting appeals for them to clean the properties. However, authorities have been reluctant to enforce the regulations up until now. Health Minister Donville Innes says up to June this year, they billed people for clearing lots to the tune of just over $378,000, but received less than $61,000.
I cannot let absentee landowners and agents sit in their lofty patios in far-flung places, oblivious of the harm that they've caused to their neighbors and the burden they've placed on the government and taxpayers of Barbados. I am not going to speak to this issue any further. I've asked the officers in the Ministry of Health to ensure that all the procedures necessary to be done are followed and to provide the Office of Minister of Health with a list of those delinquent individuals who do not make any effort to settle their debt with the Crown.
The minister insists it's not a revenue collecting exercise, but pleas from the ministry for people to clean their properties seem to be falling on deaf ears. With this in mind, he's also announced plans to establish an enforcement unit in the Environmental Health Department.
What we're simply doing is mounting a more aggressive education component of our work, but also at the same time being mindful of the need to have those who otherwise will not comply with the law ensure that they are able to feel the weight of the law.
The health minister says he's also having difficulties with unkempt lots owned by the Crown in his constituency.
We are soon to embark on a project down there where, after cleaning up some of the lots along the roadways in particular, we will plant fruit trees and other trees. We think that is aesthetically going to be more appealing. It helps to keep the bush down in the areas, and certainly will provide some food in years to come.
There are about 5,000 vacant lots that need to be cleaned and debushed around the island. Mr. Ennis says government has hired bobcat and truck operators to help step up the debushing program, and this has assisted them significantly. The minister says government has had issues with lots that need to be cleaned from time to time. In fact, he says they've had to serve notices on a number of guilty departments. The minister says keeping your surroundings clean and tidy and free from mosquitoes and rodents is a major public health safety concern. Sean Farrell, CBC News.
The Environmental Health Department believes it can contain a dengue epidemic as it continues to use modern technology. Chief Environmental Officer Tyrone Applewhite says the department has been relying on geographical information systems to help them identify trouble spots around the island for both rodents and mosquitoes. According to him, the technology also allows people working in the field to upload information to the system using the latest technology available. He says this has enabled his officers to target specific vector sites.
We are now mapping and tracking these vectors, and we are in a position to really utilize our resources much better, more efficient and more effective. We are hoping from a dengue perspective that I'm hoping that we are on top of the situation this year. We are here dengue through the Caribbean, and I'm thinking that if we continue to utilize and maximize our resources according to what we are seeing with our geographic information system, we may be able to contain any dengue epidemic in Barbados this year.
But while there have been successes, there have also been challenges, in particular where improper food disposal is causing problems.
In Bridgetown, there's a high availability of foods in Bridgetown. So you have persons just eating in Independence Square. You have a lot of foods available in Fairchild Street. So we're just asking that persons be mindful that one of the main survival factors for rodents is the availability of food, and we are saying that there's too much food in Bridgetown. We are hoping to have a massive island-wide program for rodents in the near future.
Barbados and the rest of the Caribbean must urgently move to a green economy and address environmental issues. The advice has come from Assistant Secretary General at the United Nations, Elizabeth Thompson. She was one of the featured speakers at the opening of the 21st Biennial Conference of Seroptimist International at Accra Hotel. The theme of the 5-day conference is Recycle Today for a Better Tomorrow. Ms. Thompson, who is currently based in New York, says environmental issues have the ability to derail economic progress in the Caribbean.
In small island developing states such as ours, populations are so small, and hence our economic base is so small, that there is a point beyond which the populations cannot absorb the cost of food, cannot absorb the cost of fuel, cannot absorb the cost of water. And there is also a price point at which the business investor can no longer get a return on his investment, and his business is no longer viable. And these are issues that we have to pay careful attention to in the Caribbean, because these environmental issues are now significantly impacting on where our economies are going to be able to go in the short and medium term.
Ms. Thompson, who served as Health Minister in the last BLP administration, is also advising governments to assess the impact of tourism on the environment.
There is a point beyond which our water resources, beaches, road networks, waste management systems, etc., cannot and will not handle increasing tourism numbers. And that is always the policy. Bring more cruise ships, get more tourists, increase the numbers, increase the spend factor. Urgent carrying capacity studies are therefore critical to planning the future size, shape, cost, and consequences of the Caribbean tourism product.
Permanent Secretary in the Prime Minister's office, Keith Franklin, highlighted the work of Seroptimist in Barbados and says the volunteer group plays a key role in society.
Providing food hampers for the poor, mentoring girls at Somerville, St. James Secondary School, and St. Ursula's School, giving scholarships to needy children across Barbados, providing recreational facilities for special needs children, running nutritional summer camps, and very importantly here, counseling youth at risk.
Veteran CBC broadcaster Larry Mears is now counted among the most listened to personalities on radio in Barbados. When CBC cameras caught up with Larry Mears earlier today at his weekly live outside broadcast, Q in the Community, he said he was overjoyed at having been selected by readers. In fact, the radio voice of 36 years has been named by Cadris as the #1 radio personality in its June to July survey, beating out DJs and announcers from Starcom, Slam and Mix FM. Mr. Mears also leads all others in the morning talk radio category.
I've been working in radio since 1975, and I've never had anything like this at all. I mean, the mere fact that people recognize your contribution is one thing, but this is overwhelming. And you see with Q in the Community, you see what's happening in the morning show. We get a chance to go out and do things right there in the community and people's neighborhoods, you know, and you get that response. You can't beat that. Junior, you can't beat that at all. It's the first time I've experienced it, and I said, well, I thank Barbados. I thank CBC as well for giving me the opportunity, and not only that, my colleagues, they've played a big role as well.
Mr. Mears also says radio stations need to provide more training for staff.
Too many times you listen to the radio and you hear somebody who is not confident, and your standards will fall if you're not confident. It is persons who are confident about what they're doing that will perform that duty with ease and will do it professionally. We need to train our young people who come into radio. We can't just assume that because young Janelle has a good voice that she will automatically learn to control her breathing and she will be articulate in her presentation, enunciation and all that. We have to train them. What they bring to the job, they're bringing raw tools